Hey everyone! Today we're diving into one of the most powerful tools you can have in your English toolkit. We're talking about adverbs of degree. These little words are small, but wow, they are mighty, and they can give you some serious control over how you communicate.
So think about it for a second. When you're telling a story, how do you really dial in the intensity? How do you make something sound incredibly important, or maybe just kind of interesting? It all comes down to finding that perfect shade of meaning.
Well, the answer is adverbs of degree. The best way to think about them is like a volume knob for your words. Seriously, they let you dial the intensity up or dial it down, telling your listener exactly how much or to what extent. It's the difference between saying it's cold and it's extremely cold. Huge difference, right?
And just look at the emotional impact here. The task is difficult. Okay, that's a pretty neutral statement. But add just one word, the task is extremely difficult, and suddenly you can feel the stress, the pressure. Or flip it to, the task is somewhat difficult, and now it sounds totally manageable. That one little word changes the entire story.
So let's really get into this whole volume knob concept.
Your volume knob basically has three main settings. Let's break down how you can adjust the volume. Okay, here are three controls. You've got intensifiers, which crank the volume up. You've got downtoners, which, well, they turn it down for a softer touch. And then you have limiting adverbs, which set a really precise boundary. Now, here's the key thing to remember. All intensifiers are adverbs of degree, but not all adverbs of degree are intensifiers. It's a subtle but important point.
So let's start with setting number 1, intensifiers. These are your power words for sure. When you want to add emphasis and really make a statement stronger, you'll grab words like very, extremely, or completely. When we hear, she was extremely proud, you can just feel it. That pride isn't just there, it's cranked up to 100.
Now for setting number 2, downtoners. These are super useful for softening the impact and just sounding more measured. We're talking about words like fairly, somewhat, or slightly. Saying the final exam was fairly easy is so much more nuanced than just declaring it was easy. It adds a nice, subtle touch.
And our third setting is limiting adverbs. Now, these are really fascinating because they define a very specific limit. They often show you just how close something came to happening. She almost forgot her keys. I mean, that one sentence creates a little moment of suspense, doesn't it? You know she remembered in the end, but man, it was a close call.
Okay, so we know what they are, but the big question is, where exactly do they go in a sentence? Let's check out a few simple syntax blueprints.
Blueprint number 1 is the most common one, and honestly, it's a piece of cake. Just place the adverb directly before the adjective or the other adverb that it's describing. For instance, she is extremely talented, or he runs very fast. See? Simple.
All right, our second blueprint is all about action words, verbs. When you're modifying a verb, the adverb usually goes right before it. So you'd say, I completely agree with you. And just like we saw earlier, she almost missed the train. It's just clean, direct, and sounds perfect.
Now, of course, there's always an exception to the rule, right? And this is a big one to remember, the verb to be. With words like is, are, or was, the adverb of degree actually comes after the verb. So you'd say, they are quite satisfied, or he is absolutely certain. It's a small rule, but getting it right makes a huge difference in sounding natural.
And finally, let's wrap up with an expert tip that'll help you sidestep a really common mistake. This is what I call the very versus absolutely trap. Here's the deal. Very works great with adjectives that are gradable. Things that exist on a scale, like cold. Something can be a little cold, cold, or very cold. Makes sense. But very just doesn't work with absolute adjectives, words that are already at 100%, like perfect or impossible. You can't be very perfect, right? For those words, you need an adverb like absolutely. It is absolutely perfect. That's the one.
So, at the end of the day, getting a handle on these adverbs of degree is really like mastering that volume knob for your own language. It lets you add all this precision, nuance, and power, turning simple statements into really compelling stories.
So here's my question for you. Which adverb of degree are you going to use today to add a little more precision and feeling to your own conversations?
Thanks so much for hanging out with me.
If this explainer helped you out, please hit that thumbs up button and definitely subscribe for more deep dives into the English language. Keep learning, and we'll see you in the next one.